You're watching Chicago Bears Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Harrison Graham. Appreciate everybody for clicking on this video, and we got a lot to get to in terms of the latest rumors surrounding the Chicago Bears. So let's start with the biggest topic around this team right now. Not a flashy topic, but I think an important one. Do the Bears want Ryan Bates, the restricted free agent offensive lineman from the Buffalo Bills? I think it's pretty obvious that they do. For Smokin' Jays, bear down. They absolutely want him. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to get him. Brad Biggs reporting that he's meeting with the Bears today here on Tuesday. He's emerged as a top free agent for Chicago, a free agent target. I think that's pretty clear. Like I mentioned, he's restricted, meaning the Bills would have 5 days, which is a ridiculous amount of time. NBA is 2 or 3 days. 5 days to match any contract offer that he signed. So let's say the Bears sign him to a 3-year, $15 million contract. Bills have 5 days to decide whether or not they will match it. Doesn't mean they'll take 5 days, but it means that's how much time they have. The Bears clearly like him because you wouldn't spend this much time on a restricted free agent knowing that Buffalo can match that offer unless you were interested. And the Bears are interested. He fits what Ryan Poles wants in an offensive lineman. Young, quick on his feet, just over 300 pounds, powerful, violent. He fits it all at 25 years old. Finished last year as a starter at left guard for the Bills and was tremendous down the stretch. I think he'll fit this outside zone run scheme that we expect Luke Getsy to implement for this offense. Now, these are the teams in on Bates. He's already visited with Minnesota and New England. Buffalo kind of has the final say, so I have to mention them as well. And then Chicago, who he's meeting with today. I think one of these 4 teams will land Ryan Bates. The Bills can match any contract offer. Doesn't mean they will. They have spent a lot, and their cap is somewhat limited, but they can match any offer sheet. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out for the rest of this week. We might hear something as soon as today. Will the Bears sign Ryan Bates? Type S for sign, type P for pass. Get your votes in down in the comments section right now. S for sign or P for pass. Now you look at this depth chart on the offensive line, and you don't even have a second starting caliber guard. Like, sure, in theory, you could put Mustipher at center and start Patrick at guard, but Lucas Patrick already came out and said he's going to start at center. So I fully expect Ryan Poles to either sign or draft a starting caliber guard, which is why they're going after Ryan Bates, who finished last year as a left guard. Now, I don't know if he would play right or left guard. Maybe Whitehair would flip the right. Who knows? And plus, we still don't know how the hell this regime feels about Tevin Jenkins and Larry Borum. Here's what I do know. You're probably going to have to overpay for Bates for the Bills not to match this contract. And Ryan Poles knows that. He said, look, in free agency, typically you have to overpay. Up to this point, I don't feel like he's done that with any of the contracts that the Bears have signed. But for Bates, probably going to have to. Like, if you like him at $5 million, you may want to give him 7 or 8 per year because the Bills can match any contract offer. So just monitor that, and hey, for certain guys, if you think they're worth it, overpay because they're impact players. How much would you give Bates per year? I think I'd go up to $8 million. James Daniels got 9, almost 10 per year. 3 years, about $27 million. Would you give Bates 2 years, 15, 2 years, 16, 7 or $8 million? I think I'd consider it. If you feel like he's a plug-and-play starter at guard, you need help on the offensive line. So that's my number. How much would you give him per year on a new contract? Now, guys, we are also live here on Rumble in addition to YouTube. And here's the deal. Our Bears Now channel on Rumble, we're kind of getting smoked by the competition. The Cowboys Report, they're more than doubling us up. They have 506 followers. We only have 203. So here's what I want you to do. Go to the link below, rumble.com/BearsNow. Hit that follow button or subscribe, depending on if you are on your mobile device or on your desktop. It might say follow or subscribe. Should be an obvious green button. Click it. Let's get more followers over there as we continue to grow Chicago Bears Now on multiple platforms, YouTube, Rumble, who knows what's next, rumble.com/BearsNow. All right, let's keep it moving here. How about signing Tyrann Mathieu? This has kind of been a loose rumor connected to the Bears. I'll go one Smokin' Jay. I think it's possible. I think the longer time goes on and Mathieu remains unsigned, the more of a possibility it is. Fanside had listed Mathieu as a free agent target that the Bears should go after. There's been some rumors that there could be some interest. He's the best free agent safety left on the market. I don't think it's even close. You've got the Ryan Poles connection, as obviously Poles was in the Chiefs front office the last few years. They already signed Byron Pringle due to that connection. Maybe Mathieu could be another guy as well. And what's interesting is safeties have been getting paid this year. But Mathieu has not been one of those, at least not yet. Marcus Williams, 5 years, $70 million with the Baltimore Ravens. Quandre Diggs, 3 years, $40 million. That's coming off a pretty severe leg injury as well, as Seattle re-signed him. Justin Reed got over $10 million per year on a 3-year deal with the Kansas City Chiefs. Marcus May, coming off a torn Achilles, 3 years, $28.5 million. I do wonder, though, as we get into the second week of free agency here, has the market dried up on Tyrann Mathieu? Could you get him on a 1 or 2 year cheapish deal? Could you get him like $7, $8, $9 million? 2 years, $18 million, 2 years, $16 million? If you can, that's pretty valuable because this is a guy who's still a really good player. Now, he wasn't as good in 2021 as he was in 2019 and in 2020, but he's an emotional leader. He could be that for this secondary, which I think Eddie Jackson was paid to be, but he hasn't really been that since he got the bag a few years ago. You could pair him with Jackson. Maybe that re-elevates Jackson as well. Leader, good player, intangibles, locker room presence as well. For a team that wants to go young, Tyrann Mathieu at 29, 30 years old, still young enough to contribute, but old enough to say, hey, I've been through the ringer, I've been through these battles, I've won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. We can make some moves as a franchise. I'm intrigued if the price is right. Maybe as time goes on, that price becomes right for Chicago. Now, give me an over-under. I'm going to set it at $10 million per year because I don't think at this point he's getting 14, 15, which is about what Marcus Williams got. But, I could still see him getting 10 plus. Would you give him over $10 million per year? If you would, type O for over. If you're like, nah, too much bigger needs, type U for under. I'd probably have to go under, but I'd give him 9. I'd give him $9 million per year for Tyrann Mathieu, especially if it's on a shorter deal. Now, make sure you guys subscribe to us here on YouTube. The latest Chicago Bears news and rumors. Here's kind of a look at some of our recent videos. We cover it all, whether it's rumor-based, free agent targets, news as well. When the Bears signed Al-Quadin Muhammad, we've covered every single move that's happened in free agency. We did a Bears free agency tracker video from home. Mock draft coming soon, maybe this week, for sure next week, youtube.com/BearsNow. Those photos you're seeing are just thumbnails from our recent videos. Subscribe, go to the videos tab, go check out all of our recent shows here on Bears Now. All right, sign Tavon Young, and by the way, you can find those videos on Rumble as well. Could the Bears sign Young? 2 smoking Jays. I think it's very much a possibility, and I like the fit, to be honest. Sports Mockery mentioned this one. Now, this wouldn't be a report. This is just a list of guys that the Bears could go after. Got released by Baltimore before free agency started, which I thought was a bit of a surprise because he's emerged as one of the better nickel corners in recent years. He's only 28 years old, so he's young enough. Again, the Bears want to go younger in most cases. And let's be honest, the Bears need help at corner. They only have one starting caliber corner. Maybe Thomas Graham's another starter. This is a very loose depth chart at this point. Shelley and Vilder, you definitely don't want both those guys starting. I don't know if you want either starting. Let's say you bring in Tavon Young to be your nickel. Then you just got to find a CB2, another outside guy. I would like this a lot. He's physical. He's around the football a lot. And we hear how important this nickel position is in Matt Eberflus's defense. I certainly think that bringing in a guy like Tavon Young would make sense. I think he would fit in great here with his physicality. And you hear about this hits principles that Matt Eberflus wants to incorporate on this defense. I think he would fill the void on that. You're talking about a guy that played in Baltimore. You don't think those guys are physical? They absolutely are. He's physical. He's young. He has good coverage skills as well. Nickel's been a positional need for a couple years now, really since Bryce Callahan left. Buster Screen was okay, but he was not up to that caliber. So I'm interested. I don't think he would cost that much money. I think you could get him for like $4 or $5 million per year, and I think that'd be a worthwhile contract for the Chicago Bears. So should the Bears sign Tavon Young? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. Let us know down in the comment section. He's a guy I would be interested in. We ask you about him. Tyrann Mathieu. We'll see what happens with Ryan Bates as we continue to be on Bates Watch. Guys, be patient. NFL free agency, still plenty of moves to happen. Just coming in on the transaction wire, Field Yates had this mention here, a couple of free agent visits, including the Bears, Trevor Siemian, the journeyman quarterback who actually started 4, 5, 6 games last year for the New Orleans Saints. Interesting mention here, interesting visit for the Bears. Here's kind of my takeaway on this one. I think this is a backup QB option if the Bears were to cut or trade Nick Foles, who, if you cut him, you can save about $8 million. If you trade him, if you trade him, you save about $8 million. If you cut him, you save about $3 million. Trevor Siemian, probably less than $3 million, even as a backup quarterback. So either way, you'd probably be saving money. Not a bad backup QB target. Starting experience, he's bounced around, been in some different offenses. I wouldn't hate it, especially if you could trade Nick Foles to clear out that money. All right, that's all for today's show. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram, slide in the DMs for more Bears news, rumors, and questions at HGramNFL. Let's get to 3,000 followers on IG. I would greatly appreciate it.